Мы благодарим нашу аудиторию за
Thank you very much for being so engaged and for your questions. We are back to India. Our next speaker, Karuna Gopal, is involved in a lot of initiatives in India aimed to make urban spaces more environmentally friendly and more comfortable. And she sees AI and technology as one of the biggest tools towards achieving this goal. She's going to talk about AI and its impact on governance and society. Please welcome Karuna Gopal. The president of Futuristic Cities Foundation, Karuna Gopal, spotlight on S and G in ESG.
Good afternoon, everyone. Well, really happy to be here this afternoon in Russia. I was here almost a year ago, and I'm back. I'm going to speak on the importance and relevance of S and G in ESG. The flow, my friends, is going to be like this: relevance of ESG for business, the spotlight and why you have to look at S and G, and how AI can help. There are three reasons why my presentation is important. The first one is, around 10 years ago, we had a visitor from PPI, one of the biggest pension funds in the world. It's called Pacific Pension Fund. This pension fund has $21 trillion to invest in companies. And that was 10 years ago. So what we call as OM, assets under management, was $21 trillion. And they came to India to invest. That was 10 years ago. We were not ready. So you could say that we lost the opportunity. ESG is still important. They're walking around with pots of money, and they're going to put in companies that comply with ESG. The second reason why my presentation is important is I'm going to talk about rare earths. What are rare earths, my friend? Rare earth elements, I'm sure all of you know, there are 16 elements if you look in the periodic table, and all these 16 are precious, rare. Today, they are being used in plasma TVs, in electric vehicles, in computer hard drives. They have not been popular 10 years ago, but today they're very popular because we need to use them in these gadgets. So I'm not talking about the elements, my friends. I'm talking about rare human beings. Well, the third thing is, yesterday I heard the president of Russian Federation. He was talking about AI being important for humanity, AI being used for bringing in health, and AI to prevent corruption. And these are the things that I'm going to talk about today. So my presentation typically talks about all these things, why AI is important in addressing the S&G aspects. Well, significance of ESG, our previous speaker spoke at length about it. But as you know, if your companies are ESG compliant, you will get investors, international investors. You can access the international capital markets. Your stakeholders will instill faith in your company. So it's a good thing that you have to really look at ESG. Now, if you belong to that company that doesn't really want to know where exactly you stand as far as ESG is concerned, believe me, there are people tracking you. There are people mapping your progress. And this is how they're mapping. This came as a big surprise to me in India. We didn't know that some of the companies actually were not even disclosing how much they have achieved in the ESG arena. But there are companies tracking you and mapping you and putting you there. And imagine if you are there somewhere and that low level, investors are not going to put any money in you. So ESG is that important to attract investors. Well, so far, the ESG area, my friends, has been dominated by the environment. Every company is looking at how do we achieve the environment goals. Not many companies are talking about the S and the G. So what are these S and G, my friends? S is about social, which means it's about the human capital. It's about people in your organization. Are you taking care of them? Are you taking care of the society? Are you looking at ethical means to manage your human resources? The second one is about governance. How is your board diversity? Are you taking care of your stakeholders? Well, this is what it is. But let me not keep it as boring as this. Let me talk about only two aspects. One is diversity, equity, and inclusion in the social aspects. The other one is about AI achieving governance aspects like removing corruption, as your president was saying last evening. So S is about people, human capital, and talent. Now I want to show you this. This is a very important slide. This talks about what is happening to humanity. The total fertility rate is coming down dramatically. I'm sure you're seeing Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, where Elon Musk on a daily basis says fertility rates are coming down. Now, why am I talking about all this? Please pay attention to why I'm building a case for why you have to take care of people in your organization as business people. First of all, fertility rates are coming down. In Singapore, there's a crisis. A few years ago, the Prime Minister announced incentives for women to stop working, stay at home, get pregnant, deliver babies. That was an incentive for them. You know why? Because there's a crisis. People are reducing in number, and there are senior citizens everywhere. Look at the longevity. Literally every area of the world, people are living longer. The second slide is about diseases. They are living longer and not without diseases. So the point is, the crux of the matter is this, my friends: decreasing population, increasing longevity, but people are aging with disease. Now, if this is what your human capital looks like, how will you manage people in your organizations? So let me talk about something that's very close to my heart. There is a group that can solve the problems of the companies. That is the neurodivergent group. How many of you know who are neurodivergent people? Anyone? Well, friends, look at this. The neurodivergent group are these people. They're people on the autism spectrum. They're people with dyslexia. They could be people with cultural diversity. They could be gifted people, people with OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, depression. Look at the range of people you have as the neurodiverse people. Has any one of you met people with attention deficit disorder? Attention deficit hyperactivity? I'm sure most of us have a little of that. This group, my friends, is on the spectrum of genius. And strangely, this is the group that is not being considered by companies as potential employees. So if you have to meet your ESG requirements, environment is taken care of, social is about taking care of your people, but we don't have enough people because the population is coming down, there are senior citizens everywhere. So what you need is a different group of people. These are the rare people that I'm talking about. Rare earth metals that I mentioned in the beginning are those metals that are extracted from the earth and used for high-end technologies. Till recently, they were ignored. They were left lying there. But when the need arose, they are extracted. Now today, there is a need to look at this community called the neurodiverse community. And you know how many people actually fall into this community? 20% of the population. What is the population of the world, my friends? 9 billion. Neurodiverse people are 20%, which is 1.8 billion people. Today, I challenge you, knock on any door, you will find a neurodivergent guy inside. He is not employed, he is not going to school, nor is he going to college, but he's a nerd. He knows everything, but he is not a mainstream guy. You will get, I can assure you, out of the 1.8 billion, knock on any door, you'll find them. They come with special skills. These neurodiverse people are brilliant. For instance, look at that, what they know. They have strong pattern recognition skills. They have analytical skills. They have deep focus. They have enhanced memory, heightened sensory awareness, and creativity. In other words, they are brilliant. As I said, they fall on the spectrum of genius. The top 5 strengths, as I said, are hyperfocus. You know, I don't know how many of you read a book called The Deep Work. Deep Work is a phenomenal book by an author, and he says that today we are not capable of deep work. We are distracted, as you know, all of us are distracted all the time. So he says that deep work is impossible for people like us because we are distracted, but this community of neurodivergent people can actually hyper-focus. They are fantastic for research jobs. You put them in a company, they can do the best of research for you. They are creative, they are innovative thinkers, and they are authentic. They don't know how to lie. Well, so as I said, they're 20% in the humanity. They're differently abled. They do, of course, have some challenges like reading, comprehension, understanding jokes, etc. I'll give you an example. Supposing there is a hyperactive, neurodivergent guy, and his friends are making fun, and they look at a woman who's little aged, and she's walking with her stomach like this. They can crack a joke saying that grandma is pregnant, and they can laugh. But not these boys. This guy doesn't know it's a joke. He thinks it's real. And he starts planning, oh my God, a senior citizen is pregnant? So how is she going to deliver? What could be the ergonomical design of the table on which we will perform the surgery? How much estrogen she needs? How much prolactin she needs? And he's planning, he's thinking, because he's a problem solver. He doesn't get the joke, but he's solving the problem. Now, this is something that we need to understand today, because the 1.8 billion people are sitting out there, they're brilliant people, they have to be pulled into the mainstream. I don't know how many of you know, there is this woman called Temple Grandin. She's an American scientist. She was born autistic. She couldn't speak. She was almost like an animal. In her own book, she said that. But today, she guides companies in animal handling system. She has helped companies make billions of dollars. Why? Because she had the capability to think like an animal, which none of us really know how to do that. So they have enormous capabilities, but strangely, as I said, not even 40% of them are hired. So this is an important statement. I wish you kind of print it in your minds. Neurodiversity, my friends, is as vital to humanity as biodiversity is to life. Isn't it a strong statement? Biodiversity, we respect it. But what about neurodiversity? They are equally important. It's a very, very important statement, and it's important for posterity. You may not know me today, but in 10 years, you'll recall my name, because this is something that I've decided to work on. So my friends, understanding neurodiversity, as I said, there are unique perspectives, they have challenges, but today when companies tell me that there is a moral obligation to get all these disabled into the system, I tell them there is not a moral obligation, my friends, it's a necessity. It's a business necessity to get them on board. They do your deep work, they do your research, they do what you cannot do. Get them on board. Now start thinking of them not as a disorder, as a deficit, but as they're different. Start thinking of them as completely different people. For instance, Alan Turing. I mean, we respect him as a father of computing, as a father of artificial intelligence. Alan Turing was he was neurodiverse, just like Steve Jobs, and I mean, you know, a whole bunch of them, right? Autistics, Einstein, etc. Oscar Wilde. All of them had difficulties, but they were innovators. And these are the people who need to be brought in. How many of you watched the series called Suits in Netflix? Anyone? In that, Mike Ross has a problem. He doesn't have a Harvard degree, but he's brilliant. He has photographic memory, and he does everything brilliantly. There's another guy in the office. He has terrible problem. He cannot adjust in the office, but he's been a brilliant student at Harvard. Now tell me why he can't adjust in the office? Because people are cracking jokes, there's too much of distraction, there's too much of noise, there's too much of lights and colors and smells, and he can't work. You leave him in isolation, he's the best. Now these are the people who are very, very useful for the world. I'll tell you why. Some of the pictures, as you see, neurodiverse brains are wired differently. For instance, they say that if you make an infrastructure for a neurodiverse person, a whole bunch of people can actually use it. Like, to give an example, let's say you're designing a car for a senior citizen who has problem with his knees. You raise the seat of the car a little high, and he's going to sit down properly. The same car can be used by a pregnant woman. She can slide beautifully into the seat. You know, children with problems, anyone can easily sit there. So you design something for differently abled, the whole universe can use them. So companies today have to start looking at creating inclusive environments. Now, how do they do that? They have to look at workflow improvements. For instance, autistic individuals have different demands. Address them. AI can do it. AI has been doing it. I was having a conversation with one Mr. Andre from Burbank just now. He's working on learning, AI and for students. This is something that they are actually working on. So we do have use cases. It's just that the companies don't understand how to just get them on board. For instance, Zoom has a specific feature where people with disabilities or people who are hyperactive, who can't focus, it can give you a summary. For instance, I'll just give you an example. Supposing there is a hyperactive neurodiverse person who's attending a meeting, and someone joins the meeting a little late and makes an announcement saying that he had a fall and hurt his knee. Others will just start, they accept it and they get on to the meeting. But this hyper guy is actually thinking, oh my God, he hurt his knee. So is it an ACL tear? Or is he going to need a kneecap? Or is he going to have some kind of a procedure? So his mind is so distracted, he'll not stop there and come back to the meeting. He'll keep going step by step and into the depths of the knee problem. For such people, there are ways to summarize and bring them back. So when that is done, he can be utilized in the office. The same thing, you have, software like Fireflies, you have natural language processing. This is also very interesting. Some of them have difficulty in understanding jargon. So the language can be de-jargonized. For instance, in India, we have in our parliament, not many people are highly qualified. So when a bill is introduced, the bill will be full of legal jargon, legalese as we call. They don't understand that. So there is actually an organization that removes the legal jargon and gives them simple stuff to understand. So this is what we are doing for these people. Remove the jargon, remove the jokes, remove the innuendos. Make it easy for them to understand. The minute you do that, they are into their deep work. So companies have to understand that. So we have today job making. For instance, many people are not hired because nobody knows their unique capabilities. Because we just go by a simple format. You have this, no language, tick. do this, tick, tick. No, sorry, they can do this, but they can do other things. But recruitment is not based on that. So we need to quickly change that. And of course, there are many things now. Look at this. It can give you grammatical rules. It can help you. So in the armed forces, I have seen that they have done a good matching. People with good background are left in the periphery because regular hiring systems don't understand the capabilities properly. So they are being brought in now, thanks to AI. So my friends, AI is booming. So bring in these 1.9 billion people into work. As I said, S is about human beings. It's about their welfare. So it's a business imperative, not some moral obligation. You have to get them on board for getting the business edge, making money, that is. AI relevance is fair hiring practice, supporting diversity, equity, and inclusion objectives, and a meritocratic culture, merit-based culture. So what should companies do? Basically look at hiring practices, capitalize on the skills. So AI's impact on the labor market has been phenomenal. There's been you can see a transformative potential, productivity, enhancing cost effectiveness. A whole bunch of things can be done when AI is put in this space of hiring. Well, in the S space, there's something called health and welfare. The people in the organizations today, I find that most of the companies do a regular checkup. They don't do anything phenomenal. I think AI has to be brought in. Yesterday, we had a whole bunch of discussions on AI and health. So today, as I said, diseases are taking different shapes. I don't know if you know, in the United States, you have something called turbo cancer, and AI can detect it in no time. So the people have to be put through these rigorous testing so that employee well-being can be managed. AI can tell you about nutrition, stress management, mental health. How many companies are actually looking at mental health? Can anyone tell me what companies are paying attention to mental health in ESG? I see one or two hands. Well, that is not even 0.01%. So mental health is very important. AI can help in a big way. And companies better start looking at it because we have the tools and technologies outside. It's just that companies are not embracing them. Just get them on board. Progress tracking, personalized feedback. You need to know how you're sleeping, how you're dreaming. If you take melatonin, do you get nightmares, and why do you do that? Recently, I was told that there is a sign. I don't know if you know anyone above 50 here? No, all babies. Who's 50 years old? They say that if you're going to get Parkinson's disease, the first sign is you're going to get nightmares. So there's so many things that can be tracked. And the future is very interesting as far as AI goes. So as far as AI is concerned, if you deploy it for healthcare, there's 25% increase in productivity. And drug-seeking behavior, my friends, this has been proved. There are a whole bunch of people who are attracted to seeking drugs, and that can be spotted by AI even before parents or anyone can do it, the boss, for instance. So that is as far as S is concerned. Get the beautiful neurodiverse people into the organizations and take care of health of everyone. That is the S angle, which is much neglected in the ESG. It's all about environment otherwise. The next one is about governance. Governance, my friends, is simple. I just have 2 slides. It's about taking care of stakeholder rights. Several times, I sit on the board of a very big government company. We manufacture, we make refineries around the world, and we know typically what stakeholders say and how most of it goes missing. So if you want good governance and AI to help, get the conversations of all these stakeholders, the nuanced understanding you should have of that so that we can protect their rights. Only AI can do that. And anti-corruption analysis. Yesterday, I was very happy to hear President Putin mention this. He said that AI should remove corruption and the people who get too powerful. So in companies, we have this problem. So I have seen fraud detection, a whole bunch of fraud detection is being done by AI, and today people are afraid. The minute you get AI solutions, you know that you can't go into your corrupt ways. So there are methods. Deploy AI for governance and also for S, then the ESG will be very balanced. But as you know, there are risks in AI, and all of us know that large language models take up a whole bunch of energy. All that we have talked about, bias, everything. Just have some regulation in place. Just go in a way that works for the entire community and society. So the future direction is all about, let's look at inclusive design, so that no neurodiverse person is locked up in a room in some home. Bring him out. He could be the best resource, like the rare earth. Then the audits, the future direction is about how you bring regulation and legislation and control the bias that AI has. Well, the last one is AI for greater good. So I know the conference theme is AI for life and AI for humanity. So it has a transformative impact, quality of life, inclusivity, not only that, achieving the goals, United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, which are 17 in number, very difficult to achieve. So AI has to be brought in at every stage, at every age, like how Shinzo Abe is using the senior-most people in work. You go to Japan, the organizations have 80-year-old, 90-year-old people working. Bring them in all stages, at all ages. So we have to bring in AI for the greater good of humanity. And that's all I have to say. Please keep S and G in mind. ESG should never be skewed, never be lopsided. E equal important, S equal importance, and G equal importance. That's when companies will get a whole bunch of money, and you'll do good to the world, to your country, to us as human beings. Thank you very much.
Dear Karuna Gopal, thank you very much for your exciting performance. If you don't mind, let me check some questions from the audience. We also have them a lot. The first one is, artificial intelligence often relies on data, but estimates based on the ESG criteria are often subjective. How can AI be trained to work with intangible values, such as the quality of life and social justice?
Yeah, it is true that AI cannot work without data. I think the world is, ESG is mostly qualitative. ESG is mostly qualitative, but to the extent that we can look at the data, I remember in our stakeholder analysis, a whole bunch of data. It was almost like the big data, a huge variety of data, volume, velocity, it's coming in all sizes. You process that, you have something tangible. To that extent, we can manage it, but there are certain qualitative aspects, and it needs to be trained in a different way. So today, we don't have the total grasp. We cannot say we've mastered it, but we are getting there.
Thank you. And one more question. Data is becoming increasingly important in the development of smart cities. Which data, in your opinion, is the most valuable for smart cities?
Sorry, can you,
which data, in your opinion, is the most valuable for smart cities?
See, every kind of data is valuable. To me, I see that data, as far as managing traffic is concerned, is important. Because today the world has something called the triple disease burden. Triple disease burden is the world is still having infectious diseases, otherwise we wouldn't succumb to COVID. Then we have non-communicable diseases like heart disease, cancer, etc. The third one is accidents. So that happened because we are not able to manage the traffic properly. And the data relating to traffic and traffic management is critical. And I think Singapore has done a brilliant job. I think over the last 10 years, Singapore collected data like none other country in the world, and they use big data. It's completely streamlined, and they have it at the fingertips. So that's important.
Thank you. And which skills are the most important for young people, if we're talking about AI development?
As I said, there are many skills. One is deep work. Today, I can tell you with certainty, none of us is capable of deep work. We are distracted all the time. We are not even able to focus. So deep work needs a lot of focus, a lot of meditative skills. We need to sit on something and be able to sit there with focus. That's important. Adaptability is important, because today AI is pervasive. Today I'm with Russia, tomorrow I'll be in China. It's pervasive. We need to be able to adapt to different environments, different climates, different people, different cultures. So being able to adapt is very important. And innovating on the go, my friends. Innovating on the go. Nobody is going to put you in a room and say, hey guys, think. In fact, I forgot to add, companies are doing one big mistake. You know what they're doing? They're putting the normal people, the so-called neurotypical people in a room and forcing us to think out of the box, think lateral, go through creativity lessons. Sad, because the people who are thinking laterally, creatively are put in rooms and locked up, and we are being pushed to think out of the box. So you should be able to think and innovate on the go. That is the best skill so far. I mean, that helped me in my profession, is that just innovate as you walk.
Is it depend on age?
I don't believe that. I don't believe age is a limiting factor in anything at all. Seniors are as good as juniors, and juniors are as good as toddlers. So the entire spectrum God has given us a divine asset of thinking. So we should be able to, age is no bar.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your performance, for sharing your knowledge, for sharing your experience. Karuna Gopal, applause to the speaker.